quick video with a couple of third-party tools that you can use to prep your images or your videos so that's easier to use in projection mapping. Now, if you're using a tool like DaVinci or Adobe, you could do this in Tool. But some of the other programs that are designed to be simple, so they have less features and built-in effects, something like the Luxedo software, then sometimes it's nice to know some of these third-party tools to help prep things and make your life easier. So the main one we're looking at is Canva. And Canva they have a freemium version, and then they have a paid version. So some of these things may be in the paid, but I'll use Canva for quick and simple things that I just want to crank out, mainly on the image prep side. So for example, if I wanted to add a texture to it, some kind of cool wall of wood or brick, oftentimes I'll take pictures while I'm out and about and try to find ones that I like. So here's some pictures I took. Let's find one that might work well with Canva. And what you're looking for, if you're Googling it or if you're taking pictures, is something as straight on to the surface as you can. I didn't do a great job on some of these, as you can tell from the thumbnail. Some of them are slightly askew. And then you want something that will tile well, something that as much as possible will be seamless. So let me look through some of these pictures and see if I have any that would actually work for that. Because as much as I was trying to hold my camera straight, it looks like a lot of them were a little crooked. But let's see if we can find one. This brick one is kind of boring, but it'll probably work pretty good. So let's try it with that one. And you can always change the color. So I'll grab the texture, drag it in. It automatically uploads it. These are all the uploads that we have. We're working on a nativity show right now, so we've got some assets there. Okay, so we got our tile. And one option for your projection is just make it really big across your whole house. But if you want the brick to look a little bit more realistic, then that's when you're going to want to try to tile it. And if you get a good tileable one, then really all you have to do is Control D to duplicate this layer and then line it up. And it gives you kind of these guidelines to see if it's lined up correctly, that purple line. And if it's a good tileable one, then that's all you'll have to do. If it's one that's not quite, like this one has kind of an ugly seam in it, sometimes you can flip it and get it to line up a little bit better. Like that looks better than it did before. And then where it's not quite lining up here, I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard to kind of scoot it over. And that doesn't look too bad, actually. That's pretty decent. And then you can group these together too by clicking on one, holding down Shift, and clicking on the other, and then group it. And now you have just one image that you can move around. So I will just fill up an entire image, usually 1920 by 1080 on the resolution. And I'll have that as my background. So let's go ahead and do a few more of these. I'll duplicate, see if I can line one up down here. Same kind of thing. I don't have a good seam, so what happens if we flip it? It looks like I'm going to have to flip both of these. Scoot it up a bit. Maybe a little more. It's a lot of trial and error. Yeah, it doesn't look good yet. Okay, there we go. That's not bad. Not bad. Okay, and then let's do another one over here. Overlap it a bit so it looks like those things line up. I'm not going to worry about perfect for this. We'll just get something so you get the idea. It's pretty ugly on that one, isn't it? Started moving some of them without the rest of them. Sometimes if you mess up too much, then it's easier just to start over. Let's make sure that's grouped so that it'll go all in one unit. Might have gotten lucky with this seam. So trial and error, try to get it just right. Maybe if I flip it. In Adobe After Effects, you can use an effect called Reptile that does this a little bit more cleanly. But the other nice thing too is once you put this into a projection show, the little details won't matter very much. So I've got kind of a funky seam there, but rather than watch a video of me trying to fine tune and get that picky, I think that gives you the idea. Another thing that we can do in Canva is different effects on these tiles. If you click on edit image, then there's all these predefined filters and photogenic things you can add, because like I said, this brick is kind of boring. If I wanted to make it more red, gold, you know, any of these colors. If you look at our main 2020 Baird Manor show, we actually had a wood texture in 3 or 4 different scenes. It was the exact same wood texture, just with different color filters on it. So you can play around with this and find the ones that you like. Now, oh, you can get really colorful there, get some color pop. Besides photogenic, they've got some basic filters that can also change the colors. There's intensity, saturation, contrast, all of those levers that you can play around with to get it to look the way you want. Now, one thing you'll notice too, that even though I duplicated this and tried to highlight all of them, it did just the one tile. So 1 of 2 ways you can prevent that from happening. Make sure you get the color right and then do all the copy pasting, or do all the copying and pasting and you can save this whole thing out as an image that you can then bring back in the Canva. And then you can apply whatever effects you want to and it'll apply across the whole thing. If you're going to use the same texture but different filters in different parts of your show, then that's probably what I would do, is save it out and then re-import it. Okay. Now, another cool thing that we can do with these images, I found this character at Evermore Park in Pleasant Grove and thought he'd be kind of cool to put somewhere. But I want to remove his background. So if I edit the image on his photo, there's this background remover that works pretty darn good. Not 100%. Not everything will be successful in removing, but it does a pretty good job. I'm going to take a look at that. Zoom him in so he fills up the space, but now we have a transparent tree goblin troll guy, whatever this we want to call this, that you can put in there. So I use that a lot to prep videos. And if you do get the, well, I guess even the freemium has some, you have all sorts of different graphics that Canva comes with as well, and templates. So it's ended up being worth it to us to get the paid version. It's about $10 a month because it just has so many different graphics and effects and templates that we can use to start creating some cool facades and effects. So those are some of the main things that we use. We also have crop that you can do to crop things around. The animated is kind of fun sometimes. If I wanted to add one of these fonts, except it needs to be something like a spooky party, not a pool party, at least not with that guy. Get rid of that. So you can animate some of this stuff too. If I want to animate this text, I can make it do things like fade in and out. Just some simple basic effects though that you can do with a click of the button. Then once you're all done fiddling around and getting things the way you want it to look, then you can come to File and download it. If I were to do no background on this and I just wanted to have this character as a transparent PNG for us to use in our projects, oops, then this is what you're going to want to do when you export. You'll go to File, Download, change the file type to PNG, and make sure you click that button there for transparent background. Then this image will be something you can drag into your projects and be a transparent background on it. Okay, so that's Canva. Here's another example of a wood one that we did. This is the starting tile, and then this was the result after we kind of tried to line it up. There's some symmetry there. It's not 100% perfect, but this is just the first layer. You're going to be adding other things on top of it as part of your show design. And so then it ends up looking pretty good. Now, the other free tool that I'll sometimes use, if I don't want to spend the time to do it in DaVinci or After Effects, is capwing.com. And they also have a freemium version, which is what I'm using. I'm not using the paid one. I'll use this for some very light video editing. Usually I do it to trim videos. Like I have this Atmos Effects video here that's 3 minutes, 28 seconds long. And I don't need that. And people's attention spans are so short for watching these projection shows that I don't need a scene that lasts that long. And so I'll come in here and just quickly do some trimming to get a short clip that I want to use in my show. So as you can see here, I can just use that split layer option and trim this down to something that's smaller. Drag it back to the front. And there's some other options in here. There is a thing for removing the background. Removing backgrounds in videos is notoriously difficult. It works sometimes in here, but I wouldn't say it works great. Even in After Effects, there's 2 or 3 different ones that different effects to try to get a transparent background. And I have that in some of my other videos. And then I have a different video with DaVinci Resolve with a new product they have that does a pretty good job. So you can play around with this. Just it may or may not work very well. They have a couple different ways of doing it. Chroma key is probably going to be the most reliable. Chroma keys where you have like a green screen and you can choose to remove anything that's green. So that's something you can play around with. I haven't done much with any of these settings. Like I said, I mainly am using it for trimming, to take some long video and just trim it down to something short. And then I can export that to an MP4. So instead of a 3-minute clip, I get like a 30-second one. So a couple of third-party tools that you can use. If you're using Luxido, they've also added some of the built-in effects, video and video and image editing built into their tool. So like here, I was messing around with a night that I took a picture of to remove the background and the footprints. I had some footprints that I wanted to have transparent background. I'll probably do a video just on this functionality once I kind of play around with it a bit, but they are adding those features in there too. So there you go, a couple of options outside of the big robust After Effects and DaVinci type tools for quick picture and video prep.